Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm planning on completing my autumn piece. Now this is part of the Stitch the Seasons project. So if you are new, we selected a piece of fabric that best represented each season, and then as the seasons have rolled through the year, we've been thread painting and embellishing the piece of fabric. Now in my scenario, I'm making a wall hanging that allows me to attach all of those elements or pieces of fabric together as the seasons roll through. So autumn is drawing to a close and then I'm on to winter and that's it. So I've actually got the other ones here. Here is spring. Summer and spring. So these two connect with these little buttons, and this one here now, got some threads hanging off here. This one now also connects. Got lots of threads hanging off everywhere. So in the last video, I worked out that I was going to use these little buttons and then catch them in the bottom of this crocheted lace, and I've just disconnected it so that I could do some more stitching on the final piece, but it works a treat. I ended up making sure I had lots of buttons because this is delicate. At the end of the day, it's just a softly crocheted piece, so there's no way I could have got away with 3 buttons. It would have pulled and probably distorted and then broken down. I've also gone and reinforce the ends. That's where it would have been cut, just with extra stitches, just to I guess hold it all together, keep it tight. So that works a treat now. So let me just move that out of the way. Oh, excuse me. I feel like there's a coughing attack about to happen. So what I was doing this morning was doing a whip stitch around the outer edge of this piece to finish it off. I tossed around a few different stitches and what I would do, but I decided I'd just whip stitch it. So I found myself a real creamy vintage crochet cotton, and I picked up at a thrift store or an op shop. I always feel like I've got to say both words because in Australia we call them op shops, which is a short term for opportunity stores. But overseas, in many countries, you call them thrift stores. So often at the beginning of my videoing, YouTubing career here, I just would say op shop, and then I'd get 100 questions. What's an op shop? So I thought, going forward, I'm going to use both terms, and that way you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, just whipping up this side here. Okay, it doesn't take long whip stitch. I try and keep it as regular as I can, but it can look a bit skew-whiff as well. So I try and space my stitches evenly. The bite of fabric that I'm taking, keep that as even as I can. But at the end of the day, it is quite a rustic way of hemming something. But it suits this slow stitch business. Don't knot up, for goodness sakes. I've sat for the last half hour having my morning coffee, whip stitching down the other sides without hassles, and now I turn the camera on. Yep, it's always the way. I was just Googling away there too. I was catching up on some videos and I've got the urge to make a quilt. I don't know where that's come from. That's back on the sewing machine and piecing and cutting And you know what I feel like? I feel like actually joining a class, but to find something that I like the design on, and I want something really challenging, something that's going to really push my skills. I've never ever done a quilt class. I've always just muddled my way through patterns. So to do a proper class, I sort of feel like doing that. Just, you know, pick up a few new techniques and see how many bad techniques I've taught myself over the years. And I was looking at some websites to see what was around. I need to reach out to the local community. I'm sure there might even be groups in the area that get together and do something too. Like, you just don't know. You sort of got to throw the feelers out, as they say. Of course, I don't have enough thread to get to the end. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe the urge to make a full-blown quilt might pass. It's like you go looking at quilts and you think, oh, I'd love to own one of those in the, you know, my colours. And then you start dreaming, and then you start looking at fabrics and you think, well, don't need it that long, girl. Then what colour fabrics? You know, it's so hard to decide. And I'm a bit of a sucker for the burgundy pinks and olive green. So my guess, if I was to choose a colour palette, probably would be that. But I don't know. I need to just see if I can find a shop locally that's running some workshops. That's my first task. And then see what their style of quilt is. I don't even know what style of quilt I am. I'll know it when I see it. And if I don't, oh well, keep looking. I have stumbled across a fabric quilt store in the next major town up the Queensland coastline. Bundaberg is the name of the town. And I've never been there. And the photos that are online and on Facebook just look amazing. So I'm itching to go for a bit of a drive and see what that's all about. Maybe there's an opportunity there. Don't know. Who knows? All right, coming right up to the bottom of this. Okay. Well, that's lifted there, so we might just catch that as well, do a little bit of maintenance. So the last thing to do on my piece is to put the little poem in, which was one of the details that needed to be added to the piece as part of the stitching challenge. So I have got myself some fabric. Now, I can't be too big with it because I don't want to cover too much of my stitching. So I've got this little guy. He's beautiful. He's been my absolute favourite. He's come from France. He's just adorable. And I've been nibbling at this piece. It was like on the inside of something too. It's like the most random piece of fabric. See how it's got a seam? Oh, look, see. You undo these seams and you get another 1/2 inch of fabric. But I'm going to just use that. So it needs to be small. Might come right down. It's these flowers. There's not a lot of spaces where you can insert something without bumping into all of the flowers. So I always knew that this little poem was going to be a tight squeeze. Let's give myself a bit of a guide there. Doesn't need to be straight. It is what it is. It's just like a little morsel attached. We'll start with that. Probably shouldn't have cut it down too soon because it makes it hard to hold in your hands. But we will survive. Okay. Now, I finally decided on a little poem. Warm days to tend my garden, because it's autumn now for me and I'm building a garden and the days are beautiful and warm, and then there's these crispy cold evenings and you just want to light a fire, which is my childhood. We had a lot of fires and Jaffa lions into the fire to make toasted sandwiches. So I'm hoping that I can get all of that in here. So I'm just going to have a sketch. I should turn my iron on. This might be too big. Warm days to tend my garden. Oh, it's going to be tight. Cold. Oh, it might fit. Letters are all over the place. To sit by a fire. It fits, it fits. There we go. Just a little bit of something as a memory. Now, I need a thread to stitch that. I might just jump up and grab my cottons. Actually, is there chocolate cotton in this green pack? No. I must take them out of there because they are just putting pressure on that hinge. Okay. Now, I'm going to use this guy. It's like a chocolatey, dirty brown. I think. Excuse me. Gosh, I feel like I'm going to start coughing. I think I used one thread. Does that look right? No, I think I used two. Two. Okay. Now, needle and thread. And we are off and racing. The last task. And then, oh my goodness, constantly clearing my throat today. Must be these warm days out in the garden and these cool evenings. That's doing it. It's a little bit wonky, that garden, but we'll try and mend the script as I go. So it gives you a bit of wriggle room. At least I know that the words will fit. I don't want that big stitch. Actually, I might put this in a hoop. I've got very, there's a little hoop. I've got very loosely, hang on. Oh my goodness. Just grabbing a small hoop, and I might just pause and grab some calico to sit behind it. So I will be back in a moment, guys. Okay, I'm back. So let's start this again. So it's such a loose weave that fabric is like just holding together. So I think what we'll do is I picked up this unusual shaped hoop at an op shop, thrift store, and it's quite handy for these types of pieces. So this will give us some stability of fabric. Plus now my hands are away from the actual piece, which is always a good thing because my big mitts will pull it apart. Have we got any cotton around this joint? Here we go. So I'm just going to invisible stitch. Oh my goodness, this morning, oh I know what it is. I've been throwing out sugarcane mulch. So I bet I've got a bit of dust in my sinuses and, you know, I'm aggravated. So I'd say, I wonder if I should iron that and get a little bit more. Let's start this again. Garden is just not sitting right, so we might just give it a little touch of the iron and see if we can lower even evenings. You can see I go up, up and down, up and down. Be a little bit more finicky, hey? It's the best time of the year. Not too cold, not too hot. You can work in your garden because things will be ready then for spring. As soon as it warms up, any little flowers and just beautiful. So now 2 doesn't look right. I could use a ruler to get some lines, but nah, just wing it. There we go. This is the most professional I've been when it comes to stitching the words on these pieces. I've usually just gone for it. Mind you, I think this is probably the first loose weave fabric. So what I'll do is when I finish, I will trim back the calico so that it just disappears underneath the actual fabric. And then it won't be seen, but it'll just give me that stability while I try and stitch these words. The stitch I always use for writing is split back stitch. Another stitch that's really good for writing, if you want a real soft curvy, You know those letters that should have the little scrolly bits? Real Edwardian style cursive script. Couching. Couch your thread down, because then you can get curls and things out of your thread. As you know, you got a little bit more control. You're not going up and down through the fabric like you do with this stitch. There we go. Gosh, this is going to be so much better. All right. Now, threads. Let's undo the iron before the girl gets another burn on her hand. Move it out of the way. Okay. Alrighty. So let's go. And we weren't doing a big stitch on that W. We were going to be a little bit more elegant, girl. That's it. So this will be absolute riveting viewing for you. So I'll do a little bit, then I might pause the video and I can toddle off, and this will give me a nice little project for the day. And my guess is I can come back in the morning and stitch it onto the piece, and then we'll be calling the project done. I always tend to use the browns for script. I find black is very bold, but brown's a little bit softer. So yeah, I tend to go for those dark chocolatey tones. This will come together quite good. So yeah, that's my adventure today. I might just grab while we're stitching. This is the piece for winter. Those of you who've been hanging with me a while will know this piece, because I had it pretty much selected right at the beginning. So I've got a couple. So I need to decide which one I'm using and which one gets the bird. So this bird's come from some Christmas fabric. I'm thinking this one will get the bird. So I've sidetracked already. We'll just nestle him in there. Yeah, don't think it'll be this one. This one's a bit small, so I'd have to pad it all out, and plenty of room for the palm this time. So yeah, looking forward to getting started on that one. Like I said, it's my favourite piece of fabric out of the whole lot. I wish we had have come up with the idea at the beginning of winter, because I would have loved to stitch that first. But that's all right. It all comes around. So now it's time. The first Friday in June, we will be kicking off a brand new piece. I feel like there'll be a lot of wool. I want to bring a bit of lace in too. Do a bit more collaging with fabrics. Oh, I can't wait to play with it. I love how each piece is completely different too. Love, love, love it. Really pleased with it. Come on, we need a little R. Go into that quiet stitching stage of your mind, don't you? Well, Do I? Probably not. I tend to then go find someone to chat to, whether it's a husband or Susanna or, you know, one of my mates. Get on the phone and get them on speaker and just yibba yabba away. So do I get quiet and meditative? Not really. I usually have to find something, and it's usually another YouTube video. Put someone on, so at least you feel like you've got someone stitching next to you. There we go. Really choose the thread, this type of work. Try and stay away from that tacking stitch so that when I remove it, I'm not interfering with the stitches that I'm putting in here. I have a very strong urge to go and visit some op shops. Like do a circuit. I need a buddy to take. I have to see if my cousin's around. Go for a spin and see what we can flush out. But I'm blessed with a lot of opportunity stores in Hervey Bay. So pickings are usually reasonable. The Brisbane ones, oh my goodness. They are just threadbare. They are just so picked. Very high traffic and turnover. The large country towns, coastal towns, are a lot better. And if you can get even further country, way a lot better. That's what I'm finding. So you usually find something. I'll finish this word and then I'm going to toddle off because this is just riveting viewing for you guys. And I'm running out of thread, so I'll set myself up with a new thread, finish the last couple letters here. Then I'll pause this video and go and stitch it. The morning sun is just starting to come into my sitting room, and Pepper and Bandit have had their breakfast, so they'll be looking for me to be sitting on that side of the house and doing a little bit of stitching. So actually I think Pepper's gone back to bed. Hubby's still in bed, so she tends to have breakfast and then she goes and crawls back into her bunk and waits for Gaz to get up. Takes the opportunity to go back to her bed, where Bandit tends to see where I am and sit with me. He's a loyal lad. He's a good boy. I'll just get this Y and S. Okay. The S's are the tricky ones. Even Fudge has gone back to bed. The house is so quiet. All the animals are snoozing. I'm the only one awake. Okay. This won't take long. Alrighty. Yep, bring up my thread over here on the T. All right, I will pause the video, toddle off. See, I was going to just do warm. Then I was just going to do gonna. What a terrible word. I'm gonna finish the tea and then that's it. Hang up the needle. Okay, I will disappear and finish the rest of these words and then come back and we'll attach it to the bottom of the piece. And yeah, oh my goodness, we're so close. All right, guys, I will see you shortly. Bye for now, for a second or two. Anyway, back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. So let's get it out of the hoop. Let's trim back the excess fabric. And I've just turned on the iron so that I can, you know, iron it to get rid of my friction pen lines. And we are ready to attach it. I just get rid of the excess with a torn edge. I was looking at the fabric I picked up and it's the Lily from the Botanical Beauties project. Can't remember what month that was. Probably March, I think. Gosh, time has just marched on, literally. Okay. So now let's very carefully, I might iron it. That'll help that fabric settle in. Now I'm going to very carefully trim back that calico or muslin. Purely used just to stabilise this open weave fabric. That tend is a little bit high, but that's okay. It's a primitive stitched piece, so the letters don't need to be perfect. Not for this project. Okay. Some nice little morsels for a rainy day. Okay, let's have a look. Here we go. There she is. So I might just use some applique pins to hold it down. I was thinking I would bring it right into that corner like that. Or do I have a little edge? I'll bring it right into the corner. Because I have a feeling this piece here, let's just move it up. I don't want to solve too many issues just yet. Okay. Yeah, I'll take it to the corner because I have a feeling that that might sit. No, I think I want to see the stitching. Just adds a little bit of framing to it. Yeah, no. Okay. Let's just pin it down. And then we will just do a little running stitch along that edge to secure it. That's the stitch I've used in previous panels as well. So we'll keep it uniformed. I sort of feel like it could be the overcast stitch, but we started with running stitch. We will continue. Oh gosh, we're so close to the end now, aren't we? Here we go. And often racing. Just a nice little, not big dog stitches, girl. Dog's teeth stitches. What's the saying? Dog's teeth. Is that right? Oh, goodness me. They're funny words that come into our speech. And then you say, sometimes I say things and then I'm like, where did I hear that? And you sort of have to think about it and you're like, oh, that's something someone would have said in my past. A classic one which I have never heard anyone say, ever. Only my grandfather, when we were naughty as kids, he'd come into the lounge room, say we were being noisy, and he'd say, if you kids don't pipe down, I'm going to spank your bums until your nose bleeds buttermilk. And that used to just spin us out, thinking, well, never knew noses could bleed buttermilk. That must be one hang of a spanking. And then he'd leave the room. Like, don't get me wrong, he never, ever hit us. He was the most gentlest, gorgeous man, my grandfather. He was married to the seamstress, so my mother's father. He was a hard-working slip of a man, fine, similar structure to my mum. Worked hard, milking cows, tending to the farm. He's just a good man. So his version of discipline is spanking, or I don't know if he would have used the word spanking. This is the detail that often my mind tends to forget. Or beat your butt. He wouldn't have said it in that tone. Don't know. But I just remember the buttermilk, thinking, wow, that must be one hell of a whooping. I'll beat your butt until it bleeds buttermilk. I would have thought he would have said beat. I don't know what word would have been in there. Gosh, if only we could figure out time travel. There's so many little things like that. I'd go back and watch that unfold again, you know, just to see what that sentence was. I'd so be into time travel. Here's a question for you. If we could time travel to anywhere in history, where would you go? That's going to be a crooked little edge, but that's okay. We'll just follow the fabric. Where would you go? Would you go back to a historical event? Or would you go back to something within your memory that you wanted to clarify? Would you go back? You can't change anything, so there's no mucking around with timelines. So you can't go and influence. You're purely as a witness. It'd be like sitting watching a TV. Let's make it really sit and watch TV on the piece of history that you would like to see unfold again. And let's keep it light. Let's not go back to seek revenge. Let's keep it light. So go back in time to revisit a beautiful moment in your memory. What would that be? Well, this could open up a whole can of worms. But I know yous are all sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, girl. And up the other side we go. Oh, can't believe we have completed another one. I just love them. I love how they're all so different. I found the perfect spot for it too. It's going on the side of my bookcase because it's quite tall, and this would be a nice piece. I'm still not at the point of putting a hole in the walls. Gyprock, to make a hole. So I'm attaching things to furniture. I'm slowly moving into my room. Oh, the E. Look. My goodness. I bet you are all going, she's forgotten the E. I think I changed threads about there. I was talking to someone about the quilter's knot and how you can give it a little tug and it disappears. We're about to try it. And I was saying that, I think it was at the Fleur Woods course, I was saying that this little bit of thread is always this little scrap that's, you know, needing to be trimmed, or do I leave it, or I'm going to, no, I can't do it. I'm going to slither in here. Just looking at the rest of the words. Have I jiggered up anything else? Gonna sneak that stitch in. There we go. Disaster averted. I'm glad I picked that up. It'd be funny to pick it up in like 2-3 years' time when I pull autumn out and go, oh, there's a stitch missing. Okay. Done. Drum roll, guys. Drum roll. My piece is completed. How exciting. Can't wait to start that next one. Alrighty, let's just do a quick little tidy up. I don't even think I've gone the full hour, have I? I had a feeling this would be a reasonably shortish video for me. So let's attach our buttons now. I'm hoping I can work out where they were. I love how the lace, the crocheted edge comes down over that piece of heavily embroidered trim. It just softens it. It was quite a big, broad piece. Just got to take my time with this. Don't be rough. Just let the crocheting slip into position. What is that little ratty edge there? Probably could go along and stitch that. There we go. So that's worked quite well. You wouldn't want to do that as a closure that you were touching all the time, but you know, once a year, it's not too bad. There we go. And I guess too, we have the option at the very end, if this is the last piece and winter sits up here, so that's something else to think about. The winter one comes in first. So on the 1st of June, I'd start the seasonal calendar, or we start with spring and finish with winter. I might have to lay it out. I might have to lay it out and sort of have a think about it, but that is a decision for another day. So put that away, girl. Don't be looking at future projects just yet. We'll get to them when it's time to get to them. All right, guys. Oh, love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, I'm going to say goodbye, and you guys have a lovely day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye for now.